Good afternoon. This is Veterans Talk. It ain't nothing but a thing, but it's a thing we want you tuned into every Saturday afternoon. I'm your host, Elsa McGee, and I'm here today doing the same thing I've been trying to do ever since we started the show. Make sense out of a sensitive situation called the plight of veterans in the USA, and the USA with the plight of veterans. I'm here today back with my favorite veteran. She's been out, but she's back.
I'm back.
Tish, how you doing? Tell me, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
You're looking
challenging
good.
in a couple weeks, but I'm here. I'm always here to support you.
We've been talking about something. I want to diverge for a minute to get to that because it's something I really want to be there with you as a homeowner in the city of Atlanta, dealing with the city government. Tell us about this stuff that got me upset with this my hometown folks.
Well, long story short, I bought some property and it was very overtaken with ivy, and so I paid to get some chemical treatment. It wasn't working, and so I met a dirt broker that told me, you just lay a layer of soil and it can stifle it, because eventually all the trees are going to die because the ivy is just choking it out. And so I attempted to do that, and a little more dirt was placed than what I wanted to. But it didn't harm anything. Nothing was wrong. And apparently my neighbors didn't like it, even though it wasn't in their lawn. But I ended up getting fined by the city of Atlanta, arborists, for placing that soil in my yard. And so then they came with this big sign, this public hearing in my lawn. And I didn't even get notified of it. It was just the proceedings. Everything was just wrong. And so this week I had a hearing, and had to present to the committee, my case. And the arborist was there presenting his case. So it felt really courtroom-ish, a lot of pressure, anxiety. I felt like I was going to get, convicted and had to do some time or something. But again, I didn't want to have to pay this fine. And I couldn't pay it, obviously, as a disabled veteran, and then they put a lien on my house. So that's what I was concerned about. But thank goodness that the committee had some sense, real logical common sense, like how does this make sense? And I was grateful that it was people that had that logical mind. And so they ended up dropping all the fines and the fees. In total, they had fined me $10,700 for the placement of that soil. I didn't cut any trees. I didn't destroy any trees. I didn't harm any trees. But in some way, they found that it was okay to charge and fine me that much. And so it was emotionally, really taxing. Anxiety too. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think something like this could happen. But it really just showed me the capitalistic side of everything too. The city says that they care about their people, but in everywhere you turn around, they're finding some ways to dig in the pockets of the people, founded or unfounded, whether it makes sense or not. They're going to find some way to dig into the pockets of the people to benefit them, and it's just wrong. And they if you really care about the people, you would invest in them, or if you really cared about the trees and the land, teach them something, to show them something. Just finding them and hitting their pockets is not it's just not the way to do it.
I'm really concerned with our governments. I mean, I'm just really taken out with the functionality of government on every level, city, county, state, and federal. We got the wrong people elected to office in every area, and they have appointed people to run the government that's like them. They're like-minded. We got incompetence on every level of government. They don't think about, we serve to uphold a democracy, a country of laws, but then you telling me something that didn't even have due process in it. The minimum due process. When you to be informed about what you are doing, then charged with a valid charge, And you know, my first reaction to this is that in order for us to stop some of this stuff that they're doing, we're gonna have to start using our rights to sue the governments.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because of the emotional distress that they cause you with this incident. You know, it probably makes you feel, why am I buying a house here?
Yeah, of course, I said that. and too, like all the taxes that I pay in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And so they ended up telling me anything that I want to do, I have to ask the city of Atlanta, pay for a permit to do on my own house. So it's like, essentially, it's almost like an HOA in itself. The city of Atlanta, you know, it's like an HOA in itself. And I understand there has to be some kind of
codes.
Yeah. I get
but
that.
That's a little bit overboard.
Exactly.
You know, when you buy your home to have the privacy of ownership.
Exactly.
And ownership means that if the government comes to your property, they have to have a legitimate reason, not some perceived reason that some bureaucrat has decided that he want to do.
Right.
You know, so and that's why I'm dressed in my short change gear today, because I got a real problem. I have been out in the community with, and I want to just shout out to Vet Fest and those guys down in Clayco. Had a great time with them last Saturday. Thank you for the recognition. I got a humanitarian award, so that made me feel, you know, I'm getting my flowers while I'm still here. So right. I'm grateful. Also had a good experience last Tuesday in College Park, where one of the guys that's on our Sons of Atlanta Vietnam War Memorial had a family memorial, right, that was displaced. And the city of College Park allowed that family to put that memorial on College Park property. Wow. So it gave me an opportunity to tell them that it was not just one from College Park, it was actually 17. So we got a commitment from College Park to support the Sons of Atlanta. So, and then we got a commitment from the Atlanta Vietnam Veterans Business Association to support the Sons of Atlanta Vietnam War Memorial. And so we are moving forward to actually erecting this memorial. But you know, the memorial is a message that we are hoping that we can get to our people. We're starting locally with the people that served in the U.S. military. Everybody think that, okay, well, you're on a federal level. Yeah, we served on a federal level, but we live and exist in cities, communities, just like everybody else. And we grab some benefits as a result of that service. And these benefits was designed to change, well, to give us parity with our peers that didn't go into the military. Because I remember a long time before your generation, I was drafted, went in the military. I had a house when I went in the military. I was already a property owner, and they cut my pay. I was working for the railroad, so I had a pretty good income. But my first check in the U.S. military was $68 a month. I mean, seriously, cut, swacked. So now, they cut your bills too. So they cut my bills in half, but the half of what they cut is still was not enough for me to pay my bills while I was in the U.S. military. Right. But you know, family help stepped in and helped make me so I could keep my property, and I got out. I still had my home, but we make a sacrifice for our service. Let me just stop right here. Tony is back. You know, you pull your mic. Oh, here it is. Okay. Tony is back. You know, my sidekick is back. He's been cruising around the Mediterranean. So good to have you back, Tony. I was explaining to Tish that we got a memorial in College Park this past week. And this memorial was done by the Atlanta Vietnam Veterans Business Men's Association. These are lawyers, judges, you know, corporate leaders that were Vietnam veterans. And you know what it didn't shock me, it didn't surprise me, but Bishop is the first guy on the top of our list out of College Park. There was actually 17 guys out of College Park who were killed in Vietnam. So Bishop is, alphabetically, Bishop is the first one. So when they gave me an invitation to come to this dedication, I looked at it and I said, this is one of our guys. So I was excited about it because when I got there, the one guy that invited me reminded me a lot of myself, Tony. I'm the only black president in the Vietnam Veterans of America in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
The guy that invited me was the only black guy that's a member of this Vietnam Veterans of America Association. All the rest of the guys are of the other hue. But the good part about it, we was able to meet Bishop's family, and they realized that they, overlooking 16 other guys out of College Park. And College Park government recognized that. They done made a step in the right direction, so they got to step all the way in the right direction. So they're waiting on us to come talk to them about what support they can give to us with the Sons of Atlanta Vietnam War Memorial in College Park. So that's your home.
Yeah.
So, but I want you to tell us about your cruise, then we'll get back to the show.
Well, about that fact, I can't wait to meet them. Meaning the city of College Park and everything.
Yeah.
Because that's my hometown.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up. And so it's going to be really exciting to see and meet some of the people that were around when I was around.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. Now let me correct you a little bit. All of these people that we talking about, none of them was in our age group.
Right,
all of them are young folks. So they are more given, I think, to correcting the error that was being made there when they just recognized one of their sons.
Yeah.
They agreed that all 17 of them need to be recognized, and they are going to give us the support that we need to do that.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an exciting meeting.
Oh yeah, and the other part of that is once we get the word out, there are other sons like myself who didn't go, who want to be a part of this. And so that's the exciting part about it.
Yeah.
Is spreading the word and getting the word out to the other sons of Atlanta and Fulton County that want to be recognized, because I want to be recognized.
Yes. And where it's something that's happening, because I have been I was at the mayor's senior ball. So I met a lot of seniors, that was from all of the high schools that we're talking about. That was kind of exciting because, one guy said, man, I ain't never been around this many old folks at one time. Because everybody there was 70 or above, except for the young people that was helping put it together. But it was kind of exciting because, this is our generation, and we need to be making a statement, because what I have observed during this election season, that politics have become so toxic, and it really, I think it might be turning people off rather than motivating them to come to the poll. I mean, because of the misinformation, the lies, and the personal attacks, and so people are bewildered. They don't know who to believe, what ad to believe. Is the Democrats causing inflation? I don't think so. I'm thinking that business caused inflation.
Right.
Because they're the only ones that have products and services that they sell. They can determine when they want to raise or lower the prices on their goods and services. And we need to be able to focus on that, because what is happening in our community is that they are not moving the needle toward economic parity. We just got to face the fact that there's an imbalance in economic income in communities, and the ones with the lesser income is getting lesser. They're being pushed around with developers that have come into Atlanta like never before. We got multifamily dwellings being built everywhere, but not the infrastructure.
Right.
So what they're causing, along with our current governor, by giving everybody the right to bear arms, he have increased the violence in our community. You know, some of these people that they got getting able to get a gun now definitely don't need a gun. We gonna have to stop the gun violence in our community by getting people elected that respect life over the somebody's interpretation that the Second Amendment gives you the right to automatic weapon.
Yeah.
It does not give you the right to an automatic weapon. It gives you the right to bear arms. And that arms should be rational arms, and it should be limited arms. I don't need a weapon. I'm a mental patient. I got PTSD. You trigger me, and I'm gonna shoot you just because you triggered my PTSD. We got a lot of people in our community with PTSD.
Yeah.
We think that PTSD just came from military service.
Right, and that's not.
It's not. We got babies being traumatized by domestic violence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we need to recognize what we are doing in our communities because we are being shortchanged out of our lives.
Yeah.
Out of our very lives. We cannot just stand back silently while every day, and right where I grew up, over on MLK, used to be Hunter Street, right there. At Chick-fil-A, used to be no Chick-fil-A, right across from Old Pascal's. They got shootouts like Wild West.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got people that are able to just get a gun and put it on the side of the hip and ain't nobody gonna ask. So when they meet another person with a gun in a parking lot, you got a drawing contest. That's like the Wild West.
Yeah.
We don't need that in our communities. I know what a wall weapon does.
Yeah.
It kills multiple people at a time. We are too quiet. We got these people that are running to take over our government right now, and they're showing us what it's gonna look like when they take over. They're gonna have guns everywhere. That means that the 13th Amendment, I want people to go to the 13th Amendment because I don't think we truly understand what business is doing. The 13th Amendment did not abolish slavery. It modified it.
Right.
You know, if you read it, it strictly say slavery should be abolished on the basis of race, but under the conditions of a felony conviction, you shall be subject to an involuntary servitude. The prison system in this country is one of the fastest growing industries in the community. And it's growing with us.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I mean, this is the new slavery that and business is pushing it. Because go into the penitentiary system throughout this country and see that business doing business.
Yes. Yep.
They're working people by the hour, not paying even minimum wages.
Right.
We need to wake up, we need to see what's going on, and we need to respond to it because the democracy is definitely in trouble, in jeopardy, because we got the minority party that have had is the richest party. But what has happened with that minority party, it has been bought up with oligarchy money. Money from billionaires, the 2%ers.
Yep.
Right. That's what I was saying. We can't talk about that without talking about the system and the design for us to go straight into that system, you know. And when we're talking about, you know, our hoods and our communities, it's called the projects for a reason. You know, they are literally experimenting on us. If we take away their jobs, if we put this garbage in their communities, how would they respond? If they don't have lack of money and they have lack of resources, lack of money, lack of jobs, opportunities, good health, what's going to happen? And this is what the result of what we're seeing is the violence.
We're seeing it.
Exactly
We're seeing it. This is a manufactured situation.
Absolutely.
And we got to stop acting like we don't know no better.
Right.
You know, especially veterans, we said we should pledge allegiance to the flag. And then we're going to watch it not being carried out in our governments. And we just going to walk by and say, well, I'm going to take a picture with you. I don't want to take no picture with no sellout.
Right.
You know, we got to be able to take that vote if we can keep it this time. I got to go back to what Malcolm said. We're in that predicament where it is going to be the bullet or the ballot.
Yeah.
Malcolm tried to get us to see this long time ago.
Yes,
We
yeah.
talking about a prophet from the 60s.
Yep.
We talking about somebody that died by the hands of a gun.
Yep.
That came through our time and said this to us. We're looking at this right now. We need, now I'm not a Democrat. I'm gonna just tell you straight up. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm an independent.
Right.
You know, and I done voted for Republicans. I done voted for Democrats. But right now, I'm gonna just tell you, we need to vote for Democrats.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. If we don't vote for Democrats this time, we won't have the opportunity to ever have another Democrat elected to office.
We've been voting Democrat for so long. We've been voting. What are the tangibles that they have delivered to us?
Okay, let me give it to you. Let me give it to you. Let me give you some tangibles. Right now, we got more people with health insurance than we ever had in our community, ever before. Period. I mean, the numbers show up. The numbers show up. We have not had
that. Numbers show up too.
Yeah, I mean, now, I'm not saying it's enough, but you asked me some things that weren't there. They was not there, and the Republican Party fought it. And but they know we need to have access to health care. And they still fighting it. And let me tell you something else they're gonna do. They're gonna impact veterans benefits when they take over. Believe that. They done already said it. They already got a plan to chop up veteran benefits and Social Security. The two instruments in our community that keep us afloat. Those are the two economic instruments in our community that keep us afloat. But if we don't keep the weak Democrats, these are weak folks. If they at least they're not gonna tear up the system, but they are not gonna push it the way it needs to be. But we do have an opportunity to keep the democracy and replace these people. We need to go by each one of these people in both parties.
Yeah.
They need to be washed.
Yes.
They need to be washed.
Yeah.
But now we can't afford to play with the Republican Party anymore. They are standing up and letting you know what they gonna do with your rights. They telling you.
Yep.
My mama always said, if somebody tell you something else, don't believe them.
Yep.
They're telling you. They are not keeping it a secret. They are not trying to cover it up because they know that they are trying to create a plantation again. And they just about got it created too.
Is.
You know, they
It's
got a plantation economics.
Right.
We need to see it and respect it, and we got to do what Malcolm says, the lesser of the two evils right now. It's the lesser of the two evils. Because see, let me tell you something, and I'm not all that confident right now that we're not gonna win anything in this period. Because let me tell you something, the way that law, the Georgia law is written right now, if Herschel Walker and Warnock can't get 51, even if Warnock get 51%, Herschel can stand up and say, well, the election wasn't fair.
Yeah.
And the state can step in and appoint whoever they want to appoint to represent me.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in that kind of democracy. I bled for this democracy. I'm not finna live under some conditions where you gonna tell me who gonna be my leader in a political sense. That's communism. Yeah. And right now, let me just go a little bit further. We got people right this minute that's saying that if the Republican Party win, they're gonna stop funding Ukraine, the war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
That should tell you, Russia have bought the Republican Party out. I'm saying it, and I'll say it in their face. Done bought them out, and they did it with Donald Trump.
Yep.
Tell him to show you his tax records. The party money trail. His son already said we don't need no money from America. We get everything we want from Russia.
Yeah.
Russia have pumped money into the Republican Party to get this country where they wanted to go. And I'm gonna tell you something. It might be there already. It might be too late.
So what is Biden doing? All the money he pumping in?
Biden is pumping the money that he's pumping in. Most of these folks.
What is
But okay, let me say this in.
think
The
all
infrastructure
all
was
presidents
broke.
buy out
The
international.
infrastructure, that bill that he played, it's going through phase. It's gonna take 10 years to get all that stuff.
No, I'm talking about the money, the billions of dollars that he sent
To what?
to Syria, with Russia.
We've been
all
doing that.
money.
We that's
I'm
the way.
saying all the
That,
presidents
that's
buy
the
out
way. All of them.
international-
That's the way you form alliances. That's what
But how-
businesses have
how
done
do
to
we have
us.
billions of dollars for that when we have all these homeless veterans here?
Well, that's because of the way we vote.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the
All
way
presidents, Democrat or Republican. That's the point that I'm
Listen,
saying.
well,
There's always
what it is,
misuse- there's
it's
always a
not.
misuse of funds.
It's not the Democrat. It's the individuals that we have elected that have taken us to gang politics. This is all that is. This is gang politics. This is like the Crips and the Bloods. That's all it is.
Right. So we got Trump in. We saw what he did. Biden in. It's the same thing.
Well, but how can
So
you
how do you
how can
vote
you
right?
undo it if your vote don't count
Not
anymore?
undo it.
Right.
It's not undoing it. They're not undoing it though.
I'm saying, how
all
we can-
presidents are doing the same thing.
Because they
Regardless
are allowed
of-
to because of the way we vote.
That's what I'm saying. We voted Biden in. That's a Democrat.
Yeah,
It's the
but
same thing.
listen, listen, they voted him in, and some of the things that they voted him in for, he's done. He got a sister on the Supreme Court, which I think gonna be the only voice up there
No.
that we
Are
gonna
we
hear.
talking about Kanji Brown?
Yes,
Okay. Have you did her history on her?
yes.
Okay. Do you know how she has let off a lot of pedophiles off?
I don't know about all that.
Okay, then you
pedophile
have
stuff.
to do the research.
See,
You have to
listen,
do the
listen. The research that I've done
on the people. You
is
said
is-
the people. We have to do research on the people that we're voting in.
Well,
So
I mean,
we have to keep it real.
I'm gonna challenge.
For real.
I'm gonna challenge you to do this. Bring that to the show. We want to bring.
You can
we want,
Google that right now.
No, we don't want to Google it. Because see, Google.
No, but I'm saying.
Google is the problem.
No. But
Google is the problem.
With Google, though, you have multiple sources. It's not just one. You're reading multiple sources.
Listen.
So all you have to do is
What
just
we need to do,
research
what
the
we need,
history of
what we need to
Ketanji
do
Brown.
is
Please
pull
do.
the court records that we're talking about. I don't want to Google. I want to go to the court records. I want the actual records
can.
where she did this.
Multiple times she has.
Listen,
Multiple
because
times.
I have seen
She
all
has
of this
history of it.
toxic politics, right? Husher is saying right now he ain't paid for no abortions. And we know that ain't true. He can't stand up and say it with a straight face. Donald Trump keep claiming that the election was rigged while he was trying to rig it. So let us look at it. I don't want nobody telling me somebody is this or that. Not from what they're gonna get off social media. I want
Not
them to
social
show me
media,
the
no.
records that coming out of the courthouses, out of the police stations
It's out there.
in this country. Because see, that's the problem in our community. We got so much misinformation until when we don't want to go at the real information. And when somebody say go at the real information, oh well, let me Google it. Let me
Research
Lexit it. Son.
Research it.
Let's research it. Researching it.
You have to.
Researching it go beyond Google.
Absolutely.
We got
That's why I
to.
said it's resources.
Let's
It's a
research.
start.
But I would start when I want to know something about the VA. You know where I go? Straight to the VA. I want to pull the records
wanna
from the
find
VA
all
so
the
I can
resources.
I can read what they doing at the VA. I know one thing. They ain't following due process when they processing claims. I can tell you that, and I can show you cases, and because I win them, because methodically putting the law before these people still works because you still got some people that believe in the democracies that's in government, but we got so many in there now that they would take your case and charge you $10,000, and you ain't did nothing. That's what you got in your government. What you just experienced is what you got in your government. You see, he had to have some alternative vision to do something as stupid as that. And the only thing that saved you because you had somebody else up there that wanted to follow the law. And this is Veterans Talk. This is Veterans Talk. We just veterans talking to veterans and the community about all things veterans and community.
That's right.
And what we got to be able to do is do it the way we always do it. We are able to debate issues without calling each other names and hating on each other and lying when we call it out. Like, you know, a guy gonna call me out and say, you a snitch. I'm gonna say, where you get your snitching information from? You know, well, show me that. Wow. You know, a guy call you and say, well, you a pedophile. Where you get your information from? Show me where I'm a pedophile. I'm not gonna sit up here and argue with you. I want you to show it. Now, if you don't show it, I might bust you in your mouth after that. I'm not violent. You just attack me. I'm defending myself. You know, I don't care what you call me or what you say to me, but it need to be truthful. Yeah. You know, it need to be truthful. If you ain't gonna tell the truth, I might hit you. Because you assault me. You know, you coming up on my intelligence. You attacking me, so I'm gonna defend you. I don't know where I know how to defend you is to get you off of me. Listen, Tony, let me go. We just talking.
I know.
We just talking.
Speaking of voting, I voted today, and in East Point, at the precinct in East Point, and when I voted, I was number 4,223 people at that location today.
Great.
Wow.
And so that was one of the points that they have been making, that the numbers, everybody is out voting. Yeah. Now, basically, looking at the group, when I was there for that maybe 20 minutes, it was just it was the black community. Wow. This was the black community voting at the library in East Point.
Now I'm hoping what we're gonna do is shop the posters. You know, I hope we're gonna shop it. But when we do, we got to go back to work the next day. Yes. We got to get right in these people's face that we electing and tell them what they gonna do. Yeah. And they ain't got but one term to show us what they how they gonna handle that. Right. See, we what we do, we elect them, then we step back and
that's true.
You know, and that
exactly.
Listen, I'm gonna just say, I was at Marvin Arrington's where me and you both was at, and it was just a little cozy thing that he does. But the one thing that I can say that this man do, he listens.
Yes,
he listens. And even though it takes him some time to move, he does what he say he's gonna do. You know, that's all I expect from a politician. But when you get my vote and you go do something else, after you think the polls are closed and you done won the election, you gonna just go on back doing, no, we're not going to that anymore, because the democracy is in trouble because the Democrats are weak. Yeah. Listen, let me tell you a little story about the Georgia politics. Up until Roy Barnes was governor, the Democrats had ruled Georgia for 100 years.
Right. Yes.
For 100 years. And through their weakness, you know, through their little stuff, the Republicans took over. They don't outnumber us nowhere. They don't have the numbers to do that. They do it with money. They're businessmen. You know, the one thing we have to look at, the whole constitutional scheme was designed that we could do stuff and business would not be able to do what they're doing to us the way they're doing it. Minimum wage. It bothers me when you got somebody standing on their yacht saying that $15 an hour is too much.
In one of the poorest states in the country.
Right.
Yes.
Listen, $15 an hour ain't but $33,000 a year. It takes $65,000 a year to live in this economy today.
Right.
So you got 70% of the people living in poverty.
Yes. Below poverty.
Below
poverty. Yes.
And this is because you got 2% that got money just to waste. Yeah. And you know what? Dr. King told us something too. We can get the knee off our neck. All we gotta do is start cooperating with them.
Really? Yeah.
Listen. Look at what happened to that bus that they didn't want Rosa Parks to ride. Dr. King said, don't nobody ride it. It went out of business.
Yeah.
We got to stop cooperating with our depressions.
Right.
See, and then we got to be able to show people that we can have heated, passionate discussions about our beliefs and walk away working together. Still.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
See what they done got us doing. I don't want to work with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to hear nothing they got to say.
Right.
Listen, when I was growing up in this city, right around there where they just had all these shootouts at, we didn't even lock our door. I didn't even have no keys in my house.
Wow.
The only time I can remember locking the door was at night. I come home from school, I just reached the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
The neighbor, if the neighbor hollered and got me, I had a whooping when Mama got home.
Yeah.
So, she didn't come in and tell me, don't mess with my child.
Right.
Mama, come here, what you I heard what you did. Come here. I'm finna, no, you better not run. This is veteran story. We got to get our city back.
Yeah.
But the way we get our city back is get our government back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we got to get out. You need to be running for office. You know. I'm telling you. See, we got to get more veterans in the. Listen.
I get what you're saying, but politics is a really dirty game.
Well, they made it like that.
But I'm not willing to throw myself in there. Just like when I was growing up, I heard a community. Join the police force. You as a black woman, you go in there, you go and make the change. You go and you do that, right? And that's exactly what I did. And it was like throw me in the lion's den by myself. The things that I went through doing that, trying to fix my community. No, I was being put in an all male dominated field, getting harassed, getting all type of and every type of issue that I did, trying to do the right thing, trying to do that.
But you got that in the military too.
I did have, so of course, I wasn't gonna let certain things slide, but just it's about systems, right?
Right.
Being put in that system solo like that, it's not something that me myself can do. It's gonna take a group of us to go into these places and spaces to try to make change. It can't be one individual.
Well, see, we go in. Listen, you got to have a leader. I had to be point man. I didn't particularly want to be point man, but that was my job. That was my assignment. That's what they trained me to do. So that's what they was. But I always knew I had a second not that far from me, and behind him I had a whole platoon and a company. So and they were with me. They was absolutely with me. Yeah. I had all of that with me, and that's where we got to do politics. Right. See, we know how groups are supposed to work. Right. Even though racism was there in the military, and we didn't overlook, but I done had a lot of boxes in the barracks, because because that was the point where I'm here and I ain't going nowhere, bro. And you ain't gonna intimidate me. You're going to the job. We got to be able to get back to some basic beliefs in our system. The system is designed for all to have justice and equality. It's possible if everybody would cooperate. Businessmen, billionaires then took control of our economies, and they closed everybody else out. Small businesses built America, but they don't have any say-so in politics anymore. It's the big businesses, because our politicians, we electing people that can be bought off so
even
easy.
with COVID, they first targeted all the small businesses. All the big businesses could be open. But all the small businesses, shut them down.
Let me tell y'all something. Good, you brought something up. I got some money for y'all. Y'all missed this money. Everybody that got a business in our community, call me. There are $400 billion available right now. Wow. For any businesses that got 5 or more W-2 employees. They allocated all this money and then informed the businesses that it was there. Wow. Now there's a company that I'm associated with, got associated with over the weekend, and over the past week. And we're going to be going out into the communities helping them get this money. Nice. And it's so simple. All you got to do is call me. I got a link for any business, 5 employees, W-2 employees or more, getting $5,000 to $26,000 per employee.
Oh, wow.
And you know what's the good part about it? It's a chapter fundraiser. So I got Tony on the spot. Well, I found a way to make some money, and we going at it this week because we going out and find all these businesses because most of business don't know about it. Maybe the bigger businesses got some of it, the other businesses, but we got a lot of businesses in our community that got W-2 employees that don't know about this money.
That's right.
So we need to get the word out, and that's me and you. That's me and you. We're gonna talk about it because I got some Barbara Scott at CBC.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Barbara brought me into this. At first I said, this sounds like something too good to be true, Barbara.
Yeah.
So I've been on the calls, and I've registered the business, registered us to do that. Because last week we started talking about veteran businesses, right? And we had Troy, and I know Troy listened today. Troy got a automobile business. You know, we got to start pushing our businesses in our community. You know, we got to, because in the community where I live, up and down Cleveland Avenue, we own no businesses. Everybody that own the businesses in my community, when they close the door, they leave the community. So we cannot deal with the homeless issue. We could not deal with the issues that we need to be dealing with in our community, because that lifeblood of the community, the economic, is being taken somewhere else.
Being drained.
If veterans, just veterans now, in our community get their benefits, their business benefits, it would change the economic landscape of our community.
For sure.
But like you were saying about going into law enforcement, it's a hard job, because you're going against the
system.
Power of the system.
Right.
People that's entrenched in the system that don't want you there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They don't want you there because they know that if you're there, you're gonna get your piece of the pie, and that takes away their capacity to enslave you
and to hold them accountable.
And
Every
to
time I
hold
hold
them
them accountable, I would get in some kind of trouble. So it has to take a group thing. You know, if we're going to do politics, it has to be group politics. If we're going to move in the system, it has to take a group effort and a group planning. It can't be one
that's
individual.
why it's so important that veterans. I think we're the group.
Yeah.
I really think we're the group that need to be. We're the smallest minority in our community now. But one of the most influential, whether we want to or not. We don't think about how much influence we have in our community. I have a lot of influence with my sisters, my nieces, my nephews, you know, and we need to use that influence. That is the group. You know, we have to build that group to understand that after November the 8th, November the 9th, we should be talking to those people that we elected.
That's right.
I don't care if you voted for him or not. Whoever is elected.
Whoever it is, that's right.
You know, we got to stop that. Well, I didn't vote for him. Well, you're still your representative.
Still hold them accountable.
You got to hold these folks accountable. You got to fix the streaks on this side of town. I like riding down Ponce de Leon.
Yeah.
You know, I love riding down Ponce de Leon.
But you don't love driving down Cascade.
I don't love driving down that Cascade. And that's my street.
I know.
Right.
That's where I'm at. The potholes bouncing in my car already used, and then by the time I get through, it's shaking, it's rattling. But this is Veterans Talk.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is what we want to be able to do is start having these conversations at our dinner table, in our household, with our friends, with our neighbors, with our families, and start talking about stuff that matters. Right now, what matters is that we got to get an economic parity in our community, period. We cannot talk about $15 an hour. We need to talk about a livable wage, period. That need to be $26 an hour or above. You can't do it with 15. We can't let these people just say, well, 15. Do the math.
Exactly. Do the math.
Do the math.
Yeah.
You know, and we got to stop letting them do that. We got people that work 40 hours a week. And then I go to the fast food place, they folks make me mad because they working and they ain't getting paid and they ain't serving me right.
They mad, you mad because they ain't serving you right.
They're not serving us right. So we got to do something. And that's why I'm wearing my short-change gift stuff today. I don't want to be short-changed. I'm not leaving the store till I get my money. Y'all got to understand that we got options. We can no longer say, well, I can't do nothing about it. We can.
Yeah.
We can. We have.
Yeah.
We listen. I hear people talk about black people that ain't doing this. Man, I think, listen, nobody in the history of the world have ever overcome as much as we overcome in such a short time.
Exactly.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nobody.
Nope.
So, I mean, come on, folks.
Yeah.
We got to stop letting people tell us what we can't do.
That's right.
We done got into that thing that, well, I'm telling the brother, I said, man, we got to stop this gun violence. We can't do nothing about no gun violence.
What?
But man, we're gonna stop this gun violence. I don't want my great grandbaby scared to go to school.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I don't want them scared to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
I don't want to be scared to go to the
Right.
grocery store.
Yeah.
You know, because
Exactly.
somebody got a mental illness with an AK-47.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we got so much mental illness in our community that's not being addressed. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
That's healthcare. And we looking at them closing major hospitals.
Exactly.
We shouldn't tolerate that, and we know we need that stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
And then we come down to our group.
Yeah.
22 veterans committing suicide a day. How can we just not think about that? These are people that I probably served with.
Yeah.
These are people that done put their life on the line for this democracy and incurred a disability that ain't being recognized by a bureaucratic VA that done got too busy to do its job.
Too top heavy. Yep.
You know, we cannot be silent when we watching the lawyers with Kemp June and the PAC Act, and then Kenny sitting over there, I know he mad with them because they left off of folk going. All the military bases that in this country that the PAC Act should have included, they didn't. And I've been I done told Warnock, I done told Ossoff,
Yep.
I wrote them and told them that act need to be amended. If we'd have rose up, they would have amended it before the election.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they would.
Yeah, if we'd have rose up, they ain't gonna do nothing for me. They ain't gonna do nothing for you if you take that attitude to them,
right.
because they see you wimping.
Right.
You're soldiers. You served this country in ways that nobody else did. Nobody. I mean, $6 to $8 a month. Come on.
Yep.
I want to go back home the first day.
Right?
That first
scary,
day,
too.
is this all there is?
Right.
This is all there is. Yep.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna explain that.
Right.
You know, I don't know how I'm gonna explain. I ain't got enough money to pay the mortgage. So that's why we got these benefits,
Yeah.
and we're not getting them. Homeless veterans should be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
You know why? Every one of them that I have accessed and tried to get benefits, we got the benefits for them. The biggest problem is that in order to get a benefit started, a claim started, you got to have an address.
Yeah.
And some of these homeless programs, ones that we funded, I'm gonna say we funded it
Funded
because
them, yeah.
we pushing the Veteran Empowerment Commission. I'm calling these folks and they won't even answer the phone. And then I get someone, well, we ain't got no vacancies. You just got the money.
But you got money.
You just got the money. We know you got the money because I'm looking at the list.
Yeah.
I ain't telling them that, but I told Marvin, that's why I said we're gonna have a review.
Yeah.
See, we're gonna have a review, and we're gonna have this commission do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
To
Whatever
represent
money, yes.
all veterans in Fulton County,
right.
especially those that was targeted by this legislation. See, we know that it targeted a certain group. We know that. We know that because we down there talking to the people that's pushing it, put the legislation up. Then we get it, and we get in there with some bureaucrats that know how to do politics,
Right.
and they manipulated the system, and all of a sudden they're in charge for a minute. That's all, for a brief minute.
Yeah.
We finna change that because we're gonna do what the legislative intent and purpose of the law was for. Because what they're trying to do now is shoot the money somewhere else, and that's exactly what they're doing. Still giving it to these big conglomerates that,
exactly.
Yeah.
you know, if the Salvation Army was really doing something for homeless veterans, homeless people, it wouldn't be no homeless people in the street.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because they've been doing it long enough.
Exactly.
Yep.
And all the resources. Had a talk. We talking with people now that's listening, because kind of got a hotel that they might be turning over to the commission to start a homeless program. You know, but we got to get the commission squared away so they won't put no pimps in there.
Right. Right. No, really.
You know, that's what they do.
Yep.
That's what they happen to all this money that's being allocated for programs in our community.
So
They
true.
pimps are getting it.
That's true.
Because you know what? We're electing pimps.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
birds of a feather flock together. They're going to hire who they like.
Yep.
So we got work to do.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the facility of? I'm from New York, but so I heard about it. They created this big facility for migrants. This place looks beautiful. There's Xboxes there, showers, phone stations, all this big stuff for all these immigrants, while the veterans are sitting there begging for things, begging for resources. And this is the thing that goes back, you know, about voting the right people in.
All the right people in.
And if I was back in New York, I would have turned up, because all my brothers and sisters in New York that are homeless, veterans, and people are coming from out of the country, and
Out
you're
of the
giving
country.
them these immaculate places with
Yeah,
Xboxes
yeah.
and,
And see,
comfortable beds and showers and
see
phone
now,
stations.
and what makes it so ugly in my hometown, Atlanta, Georgia, they got right this minute more space vacant with the lights on, the water running, and the heat's there than they got homeless people.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
That
make
that's
sense.
you know I'm just telling y'all
Doesn't
what,
make
because
sense.
that's what we done elected.
Right.
We done put our votes in the wrong place.
Yeah.
We got to. This got to be.
Everywhere.
This got to be
It's wrong.
tabletop in every house. Cause see, we got to start looking at how we elect people that are gonna run for office. See, there used to be you could get signatures. Now you got to have
true.
money.
That's true.
We need to break that back.
Yeah.
See, they done set up a system that actually undermined the democracy, and while we watching them. You know, then we got people that get elected, and once they get elected, they got the money behind them. You can't even get them out of office. Mitch McConnell is worse than Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He was the one that started stacking the coats in this
yes.
country. You know, he was the one that refused to appoint any judge that Barack wanted to appoint.
Yeah.
And they're talking right now, if they're elected, they're going to stop Biden from appointing any more judges. We can't be sitting up in front of the football gang and the basketball gang and, you know, watching BET
Right.
while this going on.
Yep.
Right.
You know, Tish, Anthony, I'm so glad y'all back. I'm so glad y'all back. Y'all pump me up because, you know, I mean, I know where y'all heart is. I know where you working at.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing about it, I want to see your product, your package on the streets
Yeah.
in my hometown.
Yeah.
I'm seeing sisters and brothers walking around with mental issues worse than mine,
Yeah.
you know, in the streets. So you know that they are not getting the resources that they deserve
Yeah.
to be straight functional people.
Yeah.
See, one of the things that these people want us to think, that just because you got a mental defect or mental illness, that you some kind of way unable to do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't matter. They just X you out.
So we got to make sure that this conversation keep going. We got to get it out in the community, and that's why I'm out there knocking on doors, and we're gonna be knocking on some more doors,
Yes.
and we're gonna be opening up conversation with the right people so that they'll understand we got to take our governments back.
That's right.
Starting on the local level, going to the county, going to the state, going to the federal government. On every level, we need to be electing people that gonna pursue the democracy,
Okay.
push the democracy.
With the last couple of minutes left, I keep looking. Can we talk about this really quick, please? This is so interesting.
got 2
Please put
minutes.
us on. We got 2 minutes.
Okay, let me tell you something. This book I wrote, and I've been writing it. I've been writing it all my life, really,
Wow.
ever since I got it on. But I wrote it in 2011, and it was the book signing and release was at Concerned Black Clergy.
Wow.
You know, and Dr. Pierre read the book and did the foreword. He said, this book should be in the household of everybody that got somebody in the military. Because what it does, it talks about PTSD. It talks about Agent Orange. And it put it in place. It gives first-hand experience of being exposed to PTSD and Agent Orange at the same time. And coming back with all the impact that it had on my psychic and my body. And overcoming it because of the grace of God.
That's awesome. And where can we get it?
It's on Amazon.
Nice.
It's on
Okay.
Amazon right
Okay.
now. You can actually,
I will.
if you can't afford it, you can go actually read it for nothing. And I would like for everybody to read it because I'm talking about not being shortchanged. You know, when you talk about not being shortchanged, you try to give people the right change, the right information about what is actually going on with military inductees when they come back home to their communities. My mom made me go to the VA. You know, she made me go to the VA. So I tried to relate this in a way that if once I'm gone, it can still be information for families that have loved ones that coming out of the military different from the way they went in.
Yeah.
You know, because you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. Yes, I
You
do.
know, so that's why I'm talking about. I did your product. It works. It works.
awesome.
And that mean I'm talking about it works better than the drugs that the VA prescribed for me. Because it made me functional. It gave me the calmness I needed to deal with the triggers that I'm encountering in my life every day. So people need to understand that veterans got a lot to offer coming back into the community.
Yes.
We need to get it together. We need to make sure that we are following this democracy, because we done made too great of sacrifices that it be taken away from us. You know, so next week we'll be right back here again, and I'm gonna do something next week. I hope I'm gonna be in the audience, and Tony and keep and stuff. I'm gonna be in the audience. I'm gonna take a break. Tony took a cruise. Keep the teach. So I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna let them do the show because I know that they got a lot to say and got a lot to offer, and I want to make sure that I'm not preaching all the time.
Yeah.
Take it right.
I don't want to preach all the time. So,
But that's your nature. That's your nature.
that's my nature.
That's your nature.
But we need to make sure that we're hearing from the other hosts that got just as much to offer, and you know, in different ways, but that's just as much. And we need it. We need this out because this is veterans talk. Shouldn't be Elson talk. It's veterans talk.
It's not all you're talking. You let us get a word in every now and then.
Every now and then. So I want to thank Status Network. We're kicking good with the shows, and we're gonna think we're gonna have Mary Norwood on the show pretty soon.
That's great.
You know, so we're gonna be bringing in some guests from the city government, and we're gonna be bringing in some people from the community that want to be in government. See, one of the things that we need to do, we need to start bringing in young people that want to run for government, so that we can start vetting our candidates before the election. See, because 2022 is going, we about to pass that. We need to be looking to 2024. Now, in 2023, we got a lot of local elections. So we need to be looking from year to year of who we want to help our governments. Next week,
Let's talk.
Veterans Talk.